Welcome to Birch Tree Studios, the home of 1013 Publications. This is 40 Below Zero, an international show about chronic illness hosted by two guys with MS. I'm your co-host Nick, and with me as always is Terry. We're so glad all of our warriors and supporters are here with us, so let's get into it. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Terry, how are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good, Nick. I'm great. You know, I'm so glad summer is almost over.
Me too.
Never used to say this, man, but I actually like winter better than summer now.
I'm with you there.
Summer is overrated. Yes, it's overrated. The sun, the beach, too much work to get out there.
It's only overrated because of the crushing fatigue that I suffer. If it wasn't for that, I would be just fine. So who do we have with us today?
Awesome. I'd like to introduce someone I have a lot of respect for. She is the founder of Rise Above Adaptive Climbing. She is an advocate of no limits and no boundaries when it comes to physical challenges. She's a paraclimber with a spinal cord injury. We're honored to welcome Miranda.
Hey, friends.
Did I miss anything?
You could say a bronze medal winning paraclimber from the World Cup this year in Salt Lake City.
Damn.
You missed a big one.
You missed it, yeah.
I have failed you.
Shame on you.
I have failed you. I apologize.
Wait, did you start climbing with me after that or before that?
What do you mean before that?
Well, because I know you've been to Rise Above a couple of times, but I couldn't remember if that was like before May or if it was after May that you had started.
No, it was after.
It was after, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely your fault that you forgot that, for sure.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
Whatever. Shame me all you want. Dude, I've been looking at your story and it's so recent. It's so recent that
I keep getting told how much of a baby I am as far as like disability is concerned. Like they're like, oh, under 5 years, that's nothing.
That's not cool. I hear that in our community too. Oh, you have MS for not me, but oh, you have MS for 3 years. Oh, you're a rookie. It's
I don't think anyone's meaning it in like a negative way. At least I don't think they're meaning it in a negative way.
No, I think it's kind of one of those things where like I can make fun of Terry because we have the same thing, but when we go, no one outside of our community can make fun of us because you're not in the club. So if you're getting harassed by other people with disabilities, I think it just shows that they accept you. If they're giving,
yeah, I mean, that's the thing I love most about the adaptive events that I go to is that there is license to openly harass everybody, and the number of jokes that we make at our friends who are blind and or just the like what do you do when you stupid gimp, like just comments like that. Where it's like, yeah, anyone able-bodied saying that, super not cool, but we all kind of have this collective agreement where it's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I get that totally. What did you like? You're a paraclimber. You were a climber before. It's not.
I was.
When did you start climbing? Just curious.
Oh, gosh. What year was it? I know I was 29 when I started, or was like about to turn 29, and I am turning 36 in September, so math. And I guess, yeah.
Pair the one.
I don't know, like 4 or 5 years before my accident, something like that.
Yeah. And you didn't injure yourself because of climbing?
No.
Like,
I injured myself doing circus.
I was right. When Terry told me before you came on, he said, and correct me if I'm not saying the name of the thing right, he said the flying ring.
No, I said the aerial hoop.
The aerial hoop. That's what you said.
I mean, flying ring, aerial hoop.
Okay, maybe.
Potato.
Who were you working for at the time? Can you say? Or
who
were
was
you
I
just trying?
working?
Yeah, were you trying out for the circus?
No, man. It was like second lockdown, and I was bored as shit. So I've been taking lessons before like COVID shut everything down. I bought a house that had like these beautiful high ceilings, and so it was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a hoop, because that's something that I can still do by myself, because it was winter, so you can't go climbing outdoors in the winter, and the indoor gyms were all shut down. So yeah, yeah, I secured that baby really well into the wall, so that there was no mechanical failure on its part. It was just I was trying to pull a move that I missed, and I fell forward and just landed on just a really bad angle.
Wow. Wow.
So did you get that on video?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't think I would have
I
hung
had
on
to
to it.
ask. Okay.
So,
Sorry. Yeah.
although, yeah, it was weird because I had been recording a bunch of like other little routines and whatnot that I had been working on. It just wasn't that one or that day,
And I
for any
saw it.
particular reason.
Yeah, videos, and I see it, and I'm like, damn, that takes a lot of strength. And it's funny because in one of the videos you said oops, and someone commented on it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. You're like, oops.
Yeah. Yeah, that was because my foot hit the frame that I was kind of spinning around, and then that sort of killed my momentum.
Oh, okay.
Um yeah.
That's awesome. That you even do that. I had to go through your videos to see that. And then I realized I'm like, damn, this is all new. Like this is new. It seems like you're this is gonna sound stupid. Seems like you're a pro at being disabled and climbing.
Ah!
Like when I met you, you were behind the desk, right? My
Oh,
first time going there, I'm like, okay, let's see what this is all about. And then I see you, and then I'm thinking, okay, she's just a normal person behind the desk. Because all I see is from the chest up,
true,
right?
yeah.
And then you asked me a question. You're like, so what disabilities do you have? And I was in a chair. So I said, my legs don't work. I don't know if you remember me saying that. And then
Kind of, yeah.
you're like, okay, buddy, all of our legs don't really work here. And then I'm like, huh? And then I came around the table and I could clearly see has a little disability. I'm like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like disrespect you, but
Okay,
you were cool.
yeah, now that your memory is a lot better for that than mine is. Yeah, no, I mean probably seem professional because I do actually work at the gym in addition to running Rise Above. But I am sneaky like that, and that most people just kind of assume that I've hurt my knee or rolled my ankle or something until, the odd day that is just not going well, and I like rock up in my wheelchair and they're like, "Oh, whoa."
And Nick's kind of like that too, where he has MS and he uses a chair. He doesn't use a chair. It depends on how he is that day. So
Yeah, there's been many people in my life who didn't realize until one day I roll up and they're like, "Oh, it's that bad." I'm like, "Well, today it is, not every day."
Yeah. Do you ever find actually I don't know what you do for work.
I don't. I'm
Oh, you
retired.
don't?
Yeah, I'm
Oh, fair enough.
retired for 10 years now, yeah.
Well, first of all, screw you. But I was just gonna ask how you felt about asking for accommodations sometimes, and how at least for me I find it kind of it's still something I'm getting used to, because there are some days where I'm feeling like a lot better and I can walk around fine and I can go upstairs, and then there are other days where I have to farm out a lot of aspects of my job to other staff members because it's like I can't get up the stairs today and I feel like kind of bad about it. Um,
I've come to a sense of peace doing the same thing with my family.
mhm.
I I've had to really put in perspective that some days I'm just not going to get the grass cut. Whether no
Yeah.
matter, you know what I mean? No matter how bad or how
Yep.
much it needs it, it's just not happening today.
Yeah,
Uh,
the grass cutting, man, that one kicks my ass too.
so yeah. But
I'm so glad I'm in a wheelchair. Nobody asks me to cut the grass.
but no, it was an adjustment to even go that far. I mean, and you would think that it wouldn't be an issue because they're your family and they love you and they want to do as much as they can to help you. But still, it's like, I don't really want to ask all the time. You kind of feel like you're going back to the same well over and over and over again. So yeah, honestly, I just manage my expectations, and I've cut a lot of stuff. I've prioritized a lot of things.
Yeah, what's it called? Wait, are you talking about sort of like spoon theory?
Kind of like spoon theory, but just in addition to that, I just don't feel bad about asking anymore. I'm just like, I just have to ask.
Okay.
It's not going to get done if I don't ask. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But I can see how that would be. Terry and I often talk about pride, and if you're the A-type driven personality, which you seem to be, it takes a lot of pride swallowing to ask for anything.
Why don't you tell her what you used to do?
Oh yeah. So I was 14 years law enforcement, and also fire and EMS. So police, fire, EMS.
Yeah, that's a pretty big loss of independence.
Yeah. And the reason why I was retired because I was a liability. The department said, enjoy your retirement. So wasn't quite ready for it. I was 33.
Oh, we were the same age when our various shit happened.
When the train went off the rails.
Yeah. I was, just out of I was just about to graduate from a horticulture program with the intent of becoming a tree surgeon, arborist. So now can't do that anymore. So I've had to, well, I'm looking at pivoting careers for like the third time in my life. I didn't really have anyone telling me to like go retire now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, what does pivot number 3 look like? Or are we not there yet? We're not ready to release that to the public.
Oh, no, we can.
Okay.
I am doing a part-time diploma in recreation and leisure, which I guess for Terry at least will be probably not surprising at all to hear. No. Yeah, I'm going in with the intent of basically like doing what I'm doing now with RAAC, just finding a way to have like just to get more adaptive folks into sports and just getting them out of the house and on the equal playing field with everybody else. But I've just been finding that even with my experience running RAAC, that a lot of places they want you to have that piece of paper behind your name.
Yeah.
So now I'm just formalizing it.
But doesn't a piece of you, sorry, Tarek, doesn't a piece of you just want to look at him and go, here's my resume?
Right? Yeah.
I always say I got a master's degree in MS from the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, just like the x-ray of like my neck, like, here you go. Do you want like, the pictures of me on the podium from the last World Cup to go along with that too? Yeah. That's I'm actually kind of looking forward to it though. I've always loved being in school. Like I really like learning and the process of it. So it's kind of, it's nice to be going back.
Sure. Absolutely. Plus I take one-off classes from time to time, not really for any real reason other than just the topic is interesting. And I find that it kind of gives you like, oh, I'm going to learn a new thing and it's somewhere to go and it's something to do. And, just, I guess being a bored retired guy, it's interesting to me, but I understand what you're saying about everybody wants to have that piece of paper behind you. And I don't even know why, but
the piece of paper plus 3 to 4 years experience for entry-level jobs.
Oh yeah. That's the other thing.
And it pays $15.50 an hour, even with all that.
We always talk about the grieving thing because we grieve who we used to be in our past. Did you go through a grieving stage? Because
I'm still going through the grieving stage.
Sorry.
Still,
okay. Like real talk, man. Yeah.
Welcome to Free Therapy with Nick and Terry. What's on your mind?
Yeah, it's still it's every day. It's every time, I have difficulty getting up a set of stairs, or, my dog is yapping at me because, she wants to go for a walk and I'm not feeling it. When I'm climbing and I can't make a certain move, like there's always that little kind of brief flash of it.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of dog do you have?
Um, Pug something.
Okay.
Yeah, they think maybe half pug, half beagle. I think like half pug, half hell demon, possibly. She can be a bit of a handful at times. She's a rescue that I just got a month ago.
Oh, that's so recent. Awesome.
Super
Congratulations.
recent, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I was just wondering if it was a big dog or a little dog. I was just wondering, are you walking this huge dog?
Well, I did have a bigger dog who passed back in March, and thought I was going to get another big one, and then I saw her on just like one of the rescue's websites, and just something said this little thing right here might
Dude,
be the one.
I had a big dog that, well, I had a big dog. I had a dog that died about 2 years ago now. And that's why I have
Mhm.
two cats. Because I wanted to get another dog. And I'm like, I can't do it. Because that dog was so perfect. I know the next dog is going to be a fuck up. Excuse my language. So I got a cat. And then after I got a cat, I'm like, this is not enough. I'm a dog guy. So then I got another cat. So now I have two cats, which is good. I love it. I love my life right now with two
Do
cats.
two cats really equal one dog?
So,
Mm,
eh, I love you guys. Stop. You didn't hear
well,
that.
they're easier to take for a walk, I'd imagine.
It's a lot easier, man.
They won't pull you out of your chair like your last dog.
I'll show you that
I did
video.
actually see that video. I did see
Okay.
that on your profile. Yeah.
Yeah.
That did not happen to me with my bigger dog, but came pretty close a couple of times. Um, I got kind of lucked out that he was pretty old already around the time that I had my accident, but if it had been in his younger days, like I would have been doomed.
Hmm.
I didn't hurt myself. Otherwise, I don't think I would put the video up there. Maybe I would. I think I would have.
That was like, yeah, that was a pretty good. Like you looked like like you yeeted and pulled at least like a meter or so.
Yeah, my pride, man. My pride was damaged.
Now, I saw someone running towards you in that video. Was that like the token able-bodied person that was like, "Oh my God, someone in a wheelchair fell. I have to go rescue them,"
Two
kind
older
of situation?
ladies. Yeah. And
Too
they're
old. Okay.
and they're trying to lift me up. And I don't know if you know, but you can't lift me up like that because my legs don't really work. And I don't know what they're trying to do. And I'm just like, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Eh, everyone wants to help you, but
Yeah.
they came and yeah, whatever. This is
Did I could be misremembering. Did I show you the video of my two friends in their wheelchairs dancing at the World Cup after party at all?
no.
Where oh, okay. So my teammate Katie, who also has a spinal cord injury, is in a wheelchair, and we were at a Western bar, so there was like this big open line dancing area. So of course, all of us were like, "Hell yeah, we're gonna go dance with all these super serious like Southern American types." So she started dancing with another girl on the Swiss climbing team, also in the wheelchair. I think she has MS, if I recall correctly. And they were spinning each other around, and then she fell. Sorry, the Swiss girl fell backwards out of her wheelchair. And of course, all of us athletes, we're just sitting around, and we're laughing at her, right? We're like kind of like
Sure.
pointing and laughing, like ha ha. We know that she's a capable person who's very capable of getting back into her chair on her own because we've seen her climb rock walls.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like all these the able-bodied people around were like, oh no, like
Yeah.
she had 4 people rush over and try to put her back into her chair before she even had a chance to try it herself, and it's just yeah, it was funny.
Why is it that when someone regular bodied falls, everyone laughs, but when someone's in a wheelchair and falls, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't laugh at that. I'm gonna go to hell if I laugh at that." Because a lot of people, when I showed them that video of Jade pulling me off the chair, their number one response is, "Can I laugh at that?" I'm like, what are you talking about? I posted it for a reason. So
The thing I took from that was here's a group of world-class Olympians. And when one of them goes down, everyone else in the room goes, "Oh my God, let me help this poor person." It's like, dude, if you were watching her on TV a week ago, you'd be like, she could smoke me in this. Getting up in this
Right?
wheelchair has nothing to like, that's nothing. That's just so the perception is just so wild when you think about it like that. Like what does a person have to accomplish to even be looked at as on the same playing field as an able-bodied person? Like, how much more do you have to do physically? Does that make sense? Like,
Oh no, it does. I'm just trying to think of like what that actually would be. Mind you, I can understand in this kind of situation because we're not in our element, so these
sure,
people wouldn't know our situation. They would just be like, why did this big group of people with different disabilities like waltz in here, and why are they riding the mechanical bull? Um, which is a tradition that we do now, and it's really fun to watch.
that's awesome.
Um, I don't in it. Just like my pessimistic answer would be like, I don't really know what someone would have to do because I don't think it will ever be enough because some people are still just going to see your disability, like no matter what it is
Sure,
that you do. Um, and I don't want to be friends with those people, but they do
agreed.
exist nonetheless. Yeah.
I agree because I'm an outsider, just so curious of this whole community of Olympians that you call like, oh, they're my friends. I can just FaceTime them whenever and it's no big deal. And me, I'm like, these are the people that I watch on TV. You know what I mean? There's such a disconnect, but it's just cool how it's just this super it sounds like it's a super big community of people just having a great time competing.
We do have a great time. I wish it was a bigger community. It's growing every year. I think we had, I want to say 150, 60 athletes come out to this one. Like there's a couple of different World Cups every year, and the numbers to are vary for each one. And but just hearing even from the people who have been climbing for a long time in this community that it's, some of these competitions started out having like 10 people in them and it's grown to this point. Um, but I'm always out there recruiting. That's like part of what I'm trying to do through RAAC as well, is to tell people like, hey, you can do this competitively as well.
dude,
See, Terry, you're
yes,
up.
yes, I'm up. RAAC, obviously RAAC, right? Rise Above
Yeah.
Adaptive Climbing. Um, yeah, I saw someone there that was completely blind climbing, and I'm like,
Oh, was that my teammate Other Terry?
yes, it was. Like, oh my God, I
Other
didn't remember
Terry,
his
yeah.
name. Yes, Terry and his wife, I believe his wife was there as well, helping climbing as well.
Patty, yeah.
And he had a earpiece so she can talk to him while she was down there, saying to your right, because he couldn't really see the man. I don't know the terminology of these wall pegs. What are they called? But
Holds.
okay, easy there. Wolts,
Holds.
Holtz.
HOLDS, holds.
I'm just waiting for Nick to make fun of me here. Yeah,
I'm
so
making fun. Terry, I'm going to overlook the fact that our last guest and you and our last guest went on a 15-minute tirade of my water and my hoagie pronunciations. We're just going to skip right over that.
oh my God. After that episode, man, I had a whole hour talking about that. Like, did you hear the way Nick said water? I'm sorry, bro. But I want to know what stupid things people have said to you. I'm not putting you on the
Oh,
spot, but
the
you
one that really stuck out in my mind was um at the gym, or one of the two gyms that I work at. They're owned by the same person. So it was at the one I'm wearing my staff shirt. Mind you, I was in my wheelchair at the time, but got talking to someone, I think about one of the routes, and how to climb it or something, and she was just like, oh, you can climb? Just faceplant type moment. So spitefully, later on, I used one of the label makers to make like a little strip that said, "Yes, I can climb," and I stuck it to the back of my wheelchair.
That's
For
awesome.
yeah.
That's cool.
I do get a lot of like not that it's necessarily stupid, but I do get a lot of like, oh, like what happened to your leg, or like what happened to your knee, what happened to your ankle, things like that. And then I say like, no, I'm actually disabled. I'm a paraplegic, and then people kind of look at me very confused, or they get very, very apologetic.
Yeah, I understand that. You're okay with people asking you what's wrong with you, right? It doesn't offend you. I know I'm okay with it.
What's wrong
When
with
someone,
you?
well, that not like that, but people look at me and be like, "Why are you in a chair?" And I'm like, "Oh, let me tell you my story." And then I start to think of a crazy cool story instead of saying I have MS. But
Like you got into a fight with a bear and you lost, like that kind of thing.
skydiving, that's a good one. Yeah.
Shark attack in Central PA.
I come up
Mhm.
with a whole story. It's like a 10-minute story. I remember a child asked me, he's like, "What happened to you?" I'm like, "Oh man, let me tell you the story. I was skydiving and my parachute didn't fly, but then my buddy came and helped me and I grabbed onto him and then we smacked into a plane." And I just come up with a 10-minute story and yeah, make it interesting. But the reality is I have boring MS. But I'm really glad I
No,
got to meet you. And you know what's funny? It was my stretch therapist. She's the one that said, "We should do rock climbing." I'm like, "Who does rock climbing for disability?" And then she's like, "Contact Junction." And I did. And then they told me about you. And I was like, "Get out of here." And then I went and yeah. And I'll be going every month because that shit is crazy. It's pretty cool, man.
And now I'm going to need videos of that.
Yeah, I made a little video. You saw it. It was a little cheesy. She was
I don't know
there.
if, oh no, I did get to see it. And we've got pictures of you too. Actually, your picture is now the loading page of our website, by the way. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I remember the first time I was climbing the rope. I don't know. Is that what you call it? I was going up and the guy
Oh,
before
the
me, he had a disability and I don't want to say he was worse than me, but his disability was a little more physical. And this guy was climbing, no problem. And when I started climbing halfway up, I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm getting tired." And then I started thinking, that guy went all the way to the top. "Terry, shut up, just go." And I just pulled all the way through. That guy inspired me. Yeah, I hate the word inspired, but he did because I'm like, if he could do it, I could do it.
Now, I will admit I don't really know a ton about MS, but can you build and retain muscle when you have MS?
Well, you can. The issue is the neurological signal doesn't make it from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does, it might not be a strong connection electrically. So you might want to be able to pull yourself up and you might be pulling yourself up, but the signal to pull isn't getting there correctly.
Okay.
So it's a wiring issue.
All
I'm
right. Yeah. Sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
no, it's okay. I'm worried that the stamina is because my stamina fatigues me out. And what I worry about, because I work out and I worry about when I start getting tired, is it that the stamina has slowed me down? So I'm not building enough muscle. Anyway, I think I can build muscle, but the stamina slows me down, if that makes sense.
And the more you do, the more a person does as much as they can with any muscle group, the higher the likelihood that your brain will reroute to
Right.
make that happen. So there's a big use it or lose it component. So everybody just tries to do as much as they can, whether it's just sitting up in bed. If we know a bunch of people that are bedridden because of it, if it's just sitting up, or if it's walking, or even wheelchair sports, or whatever it is, you just repetition like any other exercise.
You see
the
me
name of the game
with MS, and then you see somebody else, guaranteed they have different symptoms, maybe similar.
Yep.
But it's so new in the game where they say, "Oh, you have MS. Oh, you have
Right.
lesions happening in your myelin, so you have MS." there's no types of MS. Well, there kind of is, but it's so new in the game that you have MS, you have MS. Where cancer, you have lung cancer, you have tongue cancer, you have bone cancer. With MS, it's, oh, you have lesions in your spine, you have MS. So, and everyone's different. Like, look at Nick and I, we're different.
You wouldn't be able to tell that I can't see from here this way, because my eye tracks and all that stuff. So everybody has their own stuff. There's a lot of commonality among symptoms, a lot of fatigue, a lot of pain, a lot of cognitive thought processes, that kind of stuff. There's a lot that's not obvious, a whole lot.
That makes perfect sense to me. The world champion in, I'll just use her as an example, in women's RP3, which is one category of function up from mine. She has MS, and you would never know that watching her climb. Obviously, like, there's something that must present because, she would have to go through like the classification process, which tests like muscle reaction, strength, spasticity, like things like that. But yeah, I watch a few people I know climb who have MS. And it's like, what the how? I can't tell at all. But then yeah, like, so it's kind of I guess like a spectrum in a way. Like, some people will have it and it will be pretty severe, and some people will have it and just it won't be, and that's just
you're exactly right. And it's even so there's 4 main categories, and then there's thousands of subsets within those categories. So basically what I say to people is, you met Terry has Terry MS. I have Nick MS. It's just so it's that much different. It's wild. Actually,
I would say that the same applies to spinal cord injuries too. No two of them are the same.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, where's your break?
So I'm fused between C6 and C7. So that's basically like if you feel the really big lump kind of on the back of your neck, it's a little bit below that, I think, from what I recall. And the wild thing is that normally when you have fractures in the C spine, that makes you a quadriplegic. And technically I am a quadriplegic, which baffles the heck out of everybody when I tell them this, because everyone assumes quadriplegic, like you can't move anything from the neck down. It just means that the entirety, or sorry, everything below your level of injury is affected, but then there's different levels of how affected it is. So looking at me, you wouldn't be able to tell if there's anything wrong with my hands, and for the most part that there's not. But for example, if I'm on the phone for too long, like using my thumbs, my thumb will lock up or it will tremble. If I'm doing like really fine motor work for too long a time. So yeah, there's incomplete and incomplete spinal injuries, and everybody's is different.
What's obvious about your injury? Is it your legs?
Probably just my legs. Yeah.
So everything else is invisible, basically.
Everything else for me at least would be invisible. There's a lot of internal stuff that I don't tend to talk about as much, which maybe as time goes on I'll be a bit more comfortable with. But yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anyone I know that has a similar injury level. I guess to describe mine a little bit better in how it does affect me. So it's technically called Brown-Séquard syndrome, which means that it was sort of half of my cord that got damaged, and it splits my body almost a little bit in two. So with my legs, on one side, I have more sensation but less function, so I can't move it as well. And on the other leg, it's the opposite. So I can move it, but can't feel temperature, can't tell if anyone's like pricking me with a pin, things like that.
Not frustrating at all, I'd imagine.
No, not at all. Although it is a pretty cool party trick to just be able to take your garbage out in the snow, just in bare feet, just like that.
But you can totally relate to like how at points when he's not using a chair, it's invisible, because people are like, you look normal. I'm so glad I'm in a chair now, which is, by the way, the last 2.5 years I've been in a chair. It's kind of new to me. And I love it
Okay.
because before, when I was walking, people wouldn't know that my legs were getting tired. I had cognitive issues, right? Because I was focused on my legs while someone was talking to me. I had a bunch of issues that nobody saw. And then sitting in a chair, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And they're all paying attention. And it's so obvious I have an issue where I'm standing next to,
Mhm.
I can't believe I said I'm standing next to Nick. If I'm next to Nick, they'd be like, "Oh, this guy is normal. And this guy is," but the truth is my issues are solved because I'm relaxing in a chair. I don't have to stand up anymore, you know?
There is part of me that like I know that that chair, the full-time chair at least anyway, is coming for me at some point in time in my life. It I accept that. The I am in a way kind of looking forward to it in it's a really fucked up way because
Dude, I hear you.
walking is effort. Walking is effort. Like I do have to pay attention to it a lot, and so someday in the future, being able to say, you know what, ah, fuck it, let's just chair full time.
Here's my problem. Yeah, exactly what you said. And it was well overdue. I was like a year into I should be sitting in this chair. I had this chair for 5 years before I sat in it because I was getting to that. I gotta normalize it in front of people. Look, that's my
Hmm.
chair. Just so that no one gets shocked, but they still did. And that's why I moved to London, by the way. But
Oh, okay.
yeah. I escaped because I couldn't face telling people I really do need a chair. And people are always saying to me, "But you're fine. You're okay." I'm like, "No, I have MS, man. You don't know how shitty this is." And I was
Hmm.
tortured. Like I would talk to you. I wouldn't be thinking about our conversation. I'd be thinking about, when are you going to stop talking? I got to use the washroom. My legs are getting tired. My legs are starting to spaz. So I wouldn't even focus on what you're saying. And then by the time I sit down, I'm like,
Hmm.
thank God. So now being in a chair, I'm like, "Oh, talk all you want." I only
I
imagine I feel bad for people talking to me and standing up. I'm always like, "Did you want to have a seat?" Because I imagine everybody has tired feet for some reason.
I guess that that hmm. Because I guess for you and your friends and family, it was sort of a slow progression. So you did have to sort of ease them into the idea of you being in the chair. I guess for me, it was just suddenly like, boom, she can't walk anymore. Um,
Yes, so different. Yeah, for me, I always told people when they said, "Hey, how are you doing today?" I'm always like, "Oh, I'm great." You'd never know if I had a bitchy day. I'd always say, "I'm
mhm,
fine. I'm okay." I never wanted to burden anyone with my shit. And then when it got worse, I started to say, "Damn, it's my legs," or I have a lot of like weird phantom pain. I don't even know what to call it. It's nerve pain.
mhm.
And I don't even tell anybody. And then the one day I tell someone, family, they're like, "Oh, you never had that before." I'm like, "Yeah, I've always had this. I just never spoke about it." And then, you know, they see an issue. They're like, "Oh, you're having issues today?" I'm like, "Dude, I've always had issues. I just don't tell anybody. I'm, I just show people the strong so that you don't worry about me."
I get asked like how I'm doing a lot at work just because of how social of a job it is. And I got really sick of either lying when I wasn't doing okay or fully like being almost like too raw about it and then kind of weirding people out who are like not ready for that level of honesty. So now I will kind of rank it out of 10. I'll be like, I don't know, man, like 3 out of 10 day today my legs are kind of hurting, or like no, solid 8 out of 10. It's been awesome. I like that system a lot more. I would recommend trying it out.
I say when people ask me, I say baseline. They go, "How
Baseline.
you
Oh,
doing today?"
cool.
And I go, "Baseline." So it sucks, but it doesn't suck that bad. It's been worse.
you're
I'm baseline.
you're here, you're seeing me, so that's at least like a certain level of function.
Yep. Feel free to use that, by the way.
I might steal that actually.
Yep.
Oh,
Because
going back to the topic of using wheelchairs a bit more like full time slash in general, I did not realize that wheelchairs at airports are kind of magic through getting through gates and security.
yep.
It's the best hack, and I love using the chair at the airport because it saves me so much time. Even though I could walk and maybe stand in line, but like, why bother doing that when they're like, oh,
You,
poor you, please come forward and we'll just pat your chair down. Like, yeah.
how about the push from the gate attendants? Would you accept the push where they say, "Oh, let me just take you to your gate"? Do you go that yet?
I haven't had to take you to your gate, but I almost got into a fight with someone in customs because she tried to they tried to, well, normally they like you go into customs and then there's the lineup for people with disabilities, and normally I kind of breeze right through that, but this time there were a lot of people that I think were coming into the country to immigrate, and so the lineup was really long, and I turned around and was starting to, because I thought like this is going to be so much faster if I just go through the lineup for everybody else, and so I turned around and someone was like, oh, no, you have to wait in this line, and me saying, no, it's okay, like this is faster, I'll do this, and she's like, no, trying to say like, no, you're in a chair, like this is clearly the lineup for people with chairs, like
Right.
come on, crazy lady. And I'm like, no, it's okay. um and she was getting upset, and then I was getting upset, and so she kind of grabbed my chair and sort of steered me towards one of the closer, I don't know, devices that check your
Wow.
passport, at which point in time um she tried to take my passport and scan it for me, so I stood up out of the chair, took it back from her, and was like, no, I will do this myself, thank you very much. And
Nice.
yeah, and then she also tried to pull my chair backwards, but because my chair, I guess you haven't, Terry has seen my chair and
Yeah.
you have not, but it's an off-road wheelchair that has like a boom in front and these levers that you can put into,
The grit chair.
yeah, it's the grit chair. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Oh my God.
So you
Oh my
can't,
God. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so
oh,
sorry.
that's awesome.
You told me about it, and I was like, this chair looks familiar. I
It's the
know
grit chair.
exactly. Yeah, my God.
I'm
Yeah,
with
and
it.
I've seen her chair, and I even said to her when I saw her, I'm like, anyway, that's so funny that you said that.
Okay,
Carry
so
on.
you would
I'm
know
done.
then that you can't pull that chair backwards because the
Cannot.
brakes will engage.
Yep.
So then this woman was trying to pull it backwards, and she was getting, I don't know if she thought that I was doing it purposely to spite her, but anyway, and I was like, haha, what you gonna do now? But yeah, but
So
having to
did you?
tell myself this entire time, like, put on your customer service face, like, don't
Yeah,
yell
right.
at the woman with customs and if you ever want to get on an airplane, like, ever again.
Yep.
Were you
Yeah.
alone when that happened? Were you alone?
Yes, I was. It was my first time traveling alone, actually, since my accident
Wow.
happened.
You went
Yeah.
alone travel? I haven't traveled yet in my wheelchair. And a lot of people, the wheelchair community, they talk about how did you travel with your wheelchair? Did you have problems? Did they take care of your wheelchair? Because I guess you have to store it like luggage and then they give you a chair. That's what I thought.
That might be the case if you need the chair to get onto the plane. I don't. Um,
Hmm.
I sometimes I call ahead, sometimes I don't. Some airlines are better about it than others. Usually I wheel it right up to like the door of the plane, and probably also confuse them because I wheel up and then get up and like just walk to my seat. But I also don't. I take the levers out, I take the seat off, but I don't tell them that the wheels come off, and just assume that this chair is so foreign to them that they just won't try to do anything weird to it. And so far it's been okay, but the grit chair is, it's sturdy. It's made to take some abuse, so far I've been all right.
Nice. You haven't traveled with your chair, right, Nick?
No, well, when I travel, I don't fly. I'm not a fan of
Hmm.
flying, so I don't travel very far. Um, it's more of anxiety around people, not necessarily the plane. The possible things that could go wrong in an airplane doesn't even factor into it. I just don't want to be that close to that many people. So I just drive.
I've yet to have someone touch my chair and pull me around. I'm waiting for it. They're gonna get it. Sorry. But when that lady was trying to pull your chair back and the brakes were engaged, and she thought did she try to pull it even harder? Or did you just say,
Yep.
lady?
Yeah, she definitely doubled down. Um, Although it wouldn't work for my chair because mine doesn't have the sort of like assistance handles on the back, but I have seen someone on Etsy who 3D printed these spiked things to put over like the handles so that people
Yeah.
actually can't grab
Huh.
them. So maybe you should look into those just so that day never comes for you.
Hold on. The chair I brought to the rock climbing had no handles in the back. The guy I
Okay.
got this chair back, he cut them off for me. I'm like, hey, get rid of the handles. He's like, did we have to cut them off? I'm like, cut them off. He's like, what if you need someone to push you? I'm like, no one's pushing me. This one, I kept the handles on this one that I'm sitting on right now, just in case I do need that push one day. So I'm like, okay, I'll bring this chair out because going up a ramp, if someone needs to push me, it's easier.
I left the handles on my chair simply because it was explained to me by the person who was fitting me for the chair. They said, you should leave the handles on the back, even if no one's going to push you, because if you fall backwards, it'll save you from hitting your head because it'll keep the chair off the ground by about 4 to 6 inches. And I didn't think of that until the first time I fell.
Was it backward?
Yes, I fell back. The first time I fell backwards, I was very happy that those handles were there.
And you fell backwards because you're trying to pull a wheelie?
Pull a wheelie? No, I was practicing my wheelies, sir. It's a big difference. You have to practice going downhill with your wheelies.
No, I can't do that. I feel like a rookie because
Neither can I.
I'm a good wheelchair user, man. I curbs and all that shebang shit, but I cannot go down a hill or an incline or whatever on a wheelie.
Practice.
And I see those videos; they're so easily
Practice
done.
the wheelie. Yeah.
Whatever.
No, like I'm telling you, like I've done it. All I've ever done is fallen 100 times so far. That's all I do. Take my wheelchair and I fall in the yard.
Yep.
And my dog laughs at me. He looks at me.
I have a couple more
I've
videos
only-
of that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying, I think I've only fallen out of mine once, and it was one of the first couple times I ever used the grit chair. I just really misjudged. I was like, I can go off the sidewalk curb, it's fine, but just, and you can do that with that chair, but I just really didn't get the angle right.
Yeah.
And so it's always, there's always someone around to see you when that happens, right? It's never when you're by yourself and you can just maintain your what's left of your dignity.
Sure.
Of course, the woman who's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, fine. It's okay.
And-
You don't need to run towards me."
And that is a
Oh,
very noticeable chair to tip over too.
It is, yeah. And I was like wearing a helmet and everything because I was still getting used to it and didn't know how it was going to handle.
do you feel like when you're in a chair, people talk to you differently?
No.
How about this? The first time I went to Tim Hortons in my chair, I was like, I'm going to be independent. I'm going to do this. I went to Tim Hortons. I was in line, all awkward of shit. And the lady, it was my turn. The lady looked to the customer behind me and said, "Can I help you?" And I felt like a 10-year-old boy. I was like, "What about me? Why did you ignore me?" And that day I felt like I went home and I'm like, man, is this how I'm going to be treated every time? And that jaded me. But obviously it wasn't like that all the time. Sometimes. But
Do you
yeah.
find it easier to speak up for yourself now if something like that happens?
So my problem is me being a guy, I don't know. Maybe this is just me thinking differently right now, but me being a guy, I tend to feel like, they think I'm overacting. I don't know. So they'll be like, calm down, sir. Calm down. What do you need from us? So I'm always approaching everything like a young kid. Like, hi, can you help me? The washroom needs to be cleaned. I'll never come aggressive to anybody because I feel like when I do that, they're like, I'm just a dramatic guy in a wheelchair. I don't know what it is. I just have no confidence because I feel like I'm a dramatic guy in a wheelchair. I don't know if that even makes sense. So
I
wish-
guess oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, I wish people were to speak up for me because I do have that problem where I have to speak up.
I tend to utilize, again, I guess I'll refer again to calling it my customer service voice.
That's the good one.
And it's like, it's friendly, but it's kind of a little bit demanding and a little bit of it's so, with the bathroom, it'd be like, "Hey, sorry, it would just be really fantastic if someone would clean the bathroom. It's not looking great and right there from, just that tone of like, hi, hey, I'm over here too. Do you mind helping me as well? When you kind of raise your voice just a little, but you keep it friendly enough that you're hoping that the person you're talking to picks up the fact that they should feel shame right now for not paying attention to you. I don't know, but maybe, yeah, it could be a lot easier for me to utilize as a woman, perhaps.
I use the um I use the dad in me to just say it plainly and let it hang there. And the longer the silence, the more awkward it gets. I'll be like, hey, sir, I need this bathroom clean because I really can't clean it myself. Can we get someone to go in there and do that for me, please?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
the implication of like, you're going to do this for me.
Pretty much. Don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to yell. I just kind of like, this is what I need. Stop. You know what I mean? Like, did you hear me? All right.
Okay, so Terry, you either need to have kids so you can utilize dad voice, or you need to work retail so you can practice your retail voice.
I think you put it perfectly when you said customer service voice. That's what I kind of do, but I take it down a notch. I'm like, I'm really innocent. I don't want any problems. That's me.
Or Terry, you could go into the whole thing as like, hi, I'm an online reviewer of accessibility for this particular Tim Hortons. The bathroom there needs some attention. What's your name so I can spell it right on the review, sir?
So I already talked about this in the last episode or something like that, but I went to that 10-hour movie, Oppenheimer, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
And after I used the washroom, it needed to be cleaned after I used it. So it wasn't completely nasty. So I asked the lady, I told you this already, could you guys clean it? And I approached this lady like, hi, I'm so sorry to bother you. Please, could you just clean the washroom for me? And she, oh my God, they were so friendly. Everything was great. I went to the movies. And then as soon as I was done the movie, I went back to the washroom. Dude, they didn't touch it. They didn't touch it. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that story again. What do you do then? Do you go back? Like, I'm not going to go to the manager. Say, listen, I asked you guys to clean it. Nobody cleaned it. Because all of a sudden, I'm the dramatic guy. What does it matter? I'm leaving anyway. For the next person, right? That's what you're going to say.
No. You're not being dramatic. In my opinion, my humble opinion, you're not being dramatic at all. What would be, it's not dramatic when it's a need. You need it cleaned because your needs are different. It exists for a reason. They have employment for a reason. Their job is to maintain the cleanliness of that space. If they don't do their job, it's not your fault to call them on it.
Why do I have a problem speaking up for myself? But if Miranda went to the washroom and came out of it and said, Terry, that washroom was this guy. Fuck, are you serious? I first want to go and say, you guys need to clean it right now. But for myself, I'm so passive. I'm like, hey, do you guys maybe want to clean the washroom so I don't have to sit on pee?
That's when you use the magic of being anonymous on the internet and just write them a really scathing bad Google review, I suppose.
I don't know, Terry. I think there is no shame in sticking up for yourself. Because guess what? If you're the only person in the space who is not, quote, able-bodied, unquote, you can say, here are all these able-bodied employees not helping this poor handicapped guy out. Then all of a sudden, everyone's looking.
Yeah.
You can play that card if you need to.
Play the cripple card.
Seriously.
I hear you.
And guess what? When they're looking at you specifically, they know you have that card to play if you want to play it.
All right, guys, this is not about me.
This is Terry's intervention. Hour 2 has become Terry's intervention.
You said going into this that the flow of conversation is what it is. There's no set questions for me, so you reap what you sow.
I get it.
But not a set question, but tell me what the experience. I want to switch gears. I want to know what the experience of being an athlete in that space is, Miranda. What is it like to be at a World Cup event with persons who are very similar to you?
Oh my God, it was like validating, refreshing. The first time I walked into that gym and everyone there had a thing. They were, missing the limb, or they were also in wheelchairs. They're having guide dogs lead them around. It was just, I don't stick out anymore, and it's so awesome. You don't you don't feel like people are staring at you all the time because, well, either they can't stare at you because they can't see,
Oh,
or just it's almost like if everyone there is disabled, then you just, I don't know, yeah, you blend in, you feel
I,
part of something.
I get it. I get it because in a room full of MS, my MS isn't special.
Exactly, yeah, that's a good way of putting it too, for sure. But like as for the competition itself, it's nerve-wracking in the way that it would be for any competition, regardless of you having a disability or not. Definitely before my first climb felt like I needed to puke. Did not, luckily, but yeah. Um, and I've done two now, and that feeling does not go away.
It's awesome. Does having those accomplishments, does it help at all with your day-to-day mental, like, or is every day like, does it help with the struggle at all to,
Um,
to be like, I know I can do all these things?
so for me, I'm just trying to think of the right words for it. So what what it did is I feel like people at my climbing gym started to, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I feel like they started to respect me more again as a climber because, oh, you went to the World Cup, like you compete, that's a thing. Whereas I think before it was mainly maybe just like pity that they kind of looked at me with, like,
Mm,
oh, she used to climb, she used to be super strong, like now she's not. Um, and it helped. There was definitely a change of attitude in how people treated me, and as messed up as it is, like it helped me feel like I had a space in the gym again, which,
okay.
that should apply to everybody, like whether or not you climb on the professional level or not. So that's something I'm still kind of coming to grips with. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely. Because, I feel like a lot of the times I get up in the morning and I have to prove to myself that I can do all the things that I need to do. So like I'm my biggest motivator because of how hard I am on myself.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to, I don't know, accomplish something to that level, I would be like, okay, I know I can do these things now. Like to me, it would put my mind right that I'm as bad as everybody says I am on paper, but mentally I'm still tough enough to do something extraordinary. I hope that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
It does. I would say like having a medal now doesn't doing that doesn't mean as much to me, I think, as the sense of accomplishment that came from I got through the airport and traveled by myself this time. I didn't need anyone's help doing that. That felt better because that now means that has almost been unlocked to me again, like something that I was kind of able to do before. And yeah, I don't know why the medal doesn't feel like a lot to me, mainly because I've just never really been a super competitive person. I just go to those competitions because it's a chance to be around my people.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's like your world got bigger because you could get yourself there.
Yeah, exactly.
You ever have dark days mentally? Yeah, of course, of course.
Do I?
This is real
Yeah.
talk, right? Yeah,
Oh yeah, real talk for sure.
please. Yeah.
Like, I mean, as a prime example, I think I had been mentioning to you like the last month when RAAC got canceled was because I was having this like unidentified at the time pain in my good leg, quote unquote, that was so bad that I couldn't walk on it or drive. And so I had to go back to my hometown to basically like live with my parents until we could figure out what was going on. And that, like, the first couple of days when I got here were really bad because I was just so concerned that all the independence that I had fought for the last 2.5 years was just gone again.
Dude,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say to you when you told me that. I wanted to be like, dude, who cares about the rock climbing? Just get better. I didn't want to say anything stupid either. You know, when someone has issues and they're like, oh, what's wrong with your legs? And I just didn't know what to say to you. And I was genuinely caring. And I didn't care about the rock climbing, even though I paid. I didn't say, and you actually reimbursed me. I didn't even see it till like 2 weeks later. On my visa statement, it said that you gave me a refund. I'm like, oh man, keep it for the next time. I didn't care, but I felt so bad for you. I didn't know what to say to you. Like, hey, I hope you feel better. And I hate when people say that to me. Well, feel better.
Yeah.
But
Like, just trying to think of what I would want people to say to me. Mostly just that, like, hey, I'm sure shit sucks. Thinking of you. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I often, when I get a new anything, I don't want to say symptom because sometimes they're not symptoms, they're just things that come and go. If it sticks around for a day or two, I immediately start with is this the new normal?
Yes.
I
Yes.
immediately go to that. And I shouldn't,
Yeah.
because a lot of what I do is transient, but my head's like, yep, that's it.
Yeah, I really relate to that. um every time I get an ache or yeah, something along those lines happens, I kind of immediately jump to doom and gloom scenario. And hopefully as time goes on, eventually my brain will realize like it's okay, we don't need to necessarily like panic about this. And that's why I'm in therapy, amongst other reasons, to try to
Good.
sort that out.
Good.
I'm glad that you say
um,
that though, because that's like everyone needs to be in some sort of counseling.
Right.
mhm.
Even if you think you have no issues or you have issues, you got to see a counselor. Unless you have that friend who is not biased, and it doesn't work that way. But everyone needs to see. That's my thing in life, that everybody needs to see a counselor just to clear your mind.
Yeah.
I wish they would go hand in hand for at least like the first year or two. I feel like I feel like the neurologist should have a counselor, like, right. It should be, you see one, you see the other, like side by side for the first year, just so that you can process it.
It took me a couple to find the right fit, though.
Yeah,
I'll
me
agree
too.
with that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, you shower, you keep your body clean, you got to keep your mind clean too.
Very true. Because it is super easy to get down on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure more people probably would go if it was affordable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I tell you,
Oh yeah.
people think they see me in a chair and they're like, oh, and they think my legs are the problem. But no one knows I have severe anxiety. Severe anxiety. And I hate to use the word anxiety because that word, like everyone throws it around, you know.
Yeah,
I
they
got
do.
anxiety. I got anxiety. It's how else do I say that my mind just keeps going sometimes and I need to take it down a notch?
Oh, I was just going to ask you, Terry, if that was the case before you became aware that you had MS.
No, I'm a new guy. I was a
Okay.
guy. I didn't care about anything. I didn't never took care of my body. And then after I got MS, and that's why a lot of people say MS saved their life. To me, it saved my life because I was more aware of my body and I started taking care of everything. So
Mhm.
I'm in the best shape of my life, but I have MS now. But yeah, I miss driving. I used to be a driver, you know, so that's why I'm so happy that you didn't stop. People say, oh, you can get a car with those controls. It's not the same. I used to be a driver, you know, I used to love putting into gear and just driving a car.
Mhm.
Now it's different. So I let it go. I'm like, I just ripped the band-aid off. You know what I mean? I'm done driving. I'll get other people to drive me. I'm okay with it.
I think if if my physical situation had ended up a little, like if I had had a bit less function, I feel like I may have chosen to give up on climbing and pursue something else. Some days I still feel like that anyway, but yeah, I get that.
Cool. I'm not alone.
Oh,
No, no,
not at
no.
all. Come on now.
Yeah. I cannot wait to see you on September 26th. 16th.
16.
Yeah. I have it on my agenda. I'm good.
September
I'm
2016.
good.
I love it.
I
We're
said
time
26,
traveling.
16. But yes, I have it on my calendar. I'm excited for that day.
Yeah, me too. I hope we have a good crowd.
If anything changes with you, like never any stress. I don't need to say that to you, but if it still happens, I'll be there.
Awesome. No, so far so good. With physiotherapy, things have been getting better. It just turned out that it was really bad sciatic pain. I think I did mention to you in a
Yeah, you did.
text. And I think that threw me off because I always thought that sciatic pain was something minor because it, you see those American drug commercials. It's like, are you or a loved one experiencing sciatica? Try this drug out now. So I'm like, okay, it's like arthritis where you get like kind of achy and that's it. But like, no,
No,
no. Um,
not at all.
so now that I know what it is and now that we've been working on it, I'm back to driving. I've got some leg function back. I'm not feeling quite as like good as I was before this started, but yeah, I'm should be back in London at the end of next week, something like that.
When I was introducing you, I said that you're the founder of Rise Above Adaptive Climbing. I was going to say in London, Ontario, but then I know you went to Stratford. So I'm like, maybe it's not a London, Ontario thing. So I didn't say that. But
Oh, fair.
yeah, because you moved around. I was about to go to Stratford once.
Yeah,
I
and then
was,
you didn't show.
dude.
Ah,
Dude,
wow.
I didn't not show. I think I told you I wasn't going. I think I did. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. It
I
was a
have
while ago.
respect for you. You know that.
I know. I'm just giving you shit. Yeah, I
Stop it.
recognize that like Stratford's not an easy place to get to if you're like kind of relying on people for rides. But yeah, no, we've done a few climbs there. I don't want to say anything for sure. I'm looking to possibly expand it into Kingston as well, if I can.
Nice.
I am but one person, so it could be a little difficult trying to run it in a whole bunch of different places at once. But yeah, my hope is eventually it will just keep growing.
Awesome. Did you see that where I put a sticker on? I know nobody can see it, but on
I did
video.
not see it until you just pointed it now, but there it is.
And I
Look
didn't
at
put it
that.
on because we're talking to you today. I got some spare stickers and it's a good spot. Anyway, next.
I keep meaning to put one on the bumper of my car, but I keep forgetting.
So, how can people get a hold of you? How can people get a hold of Rise Above? Let's start the plugs.
The plugs. All right. You can visit riseaboveadaptiveclimbing.org. You can, I guess, if you're on the grams, hashtag Rise Above Adaptive Climbing. You can also contact Junction Climbing about the next one in September, and it's www.junctionclimbing.com. Yeah, and I'm not on Facebook because I try to stay off Facebook as much as I can.
Yeah, don't blame me there. And we'll link all this stuff through our show page and all that stuff. So awesome. Any shout outs you want to do while you have the forum here?
Oh
Any
my
thank
goodness.
yous? Any thank yous you want to say?
I mean, Rise Above has our two sponsors, Rock Base and Ontario Resoles for resoling old climbing shoes. Shout out to Junction for just being generally awesome and letting me have the space and sort of just letting me do my thing there. Shout out to my family for putting up with my shit for the last 2.5 years. For the people who mow my lawn, for example, as we were talking about. Yeah, I mean, this isn't my Oscar speech, so I'm not going to go on any longer than that.
Well, I'm really glad you came on here. I'm really glad you when I brought it up to you, I was like, she's gonna say no. But I'm glad that you're here, and thank you for
Well, thank you guys for popping my podcast, Jerry. I've never done one before.
Not a problem.
So
That's what we were going to talk about. Was my idea for a podcast.
I was just about to say that before you head out. Tell me, that was funny. I need to know, what was your idea?
I want to call it So You Fucked Your Shit Up. And I want it to be focused on like athletes, people who were athletes before their diagnosis or accident, and how that changed or maybe didn't change what they do now. Like, did you guys get back into sport? Was it the same sport? If it was the same sport, how is it different for you now? Tell me about what the adaptive community for that sport is, like things like that.
Boy, do I smell a collab starting, Ter.
I got a good few people for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That would be awesome. We can talk about the logistics of it later.
For sure.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thanks for coming and hanging out with us today.
Oh, no problem. It was lovely to meet you, Nick, and I'll see you soon, Terry.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
All right, Ter. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Take care, bro.
All right, bye, guys.
So check us out at 40belowzero.com. That's 4-T-below-zero.com. Or feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is info@40belowzero.com. Our personal Instagram account are, for Nix, it's Nix_V713. Or for Terry, it's What's_MS. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. We'll talk soon.